Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Rails&Games playing City Skylines. We are overlooking some things. We're now overlooking for our land, and that's basically what we're going to do in this episode. We are going to basically check out an industry specialization, and we are going to improve the traffic flow, and yeah, so and a few more things. So join with us, yeah. So here we see we're starting actually to connect the gravel roads to the bicycle network, adding some pipes so that the industrial area has the necessary amenities to be able to operate. We are renaming the district to something as Wallington Farms. No, Wallington Field to be exact. So we have made it a farming district, which you can choose under the menu for districts, and then you can choose under industry specializations. You can choose farming, and then you get farming buildings. And farming buildings, it's basically most of the workers are uneducated, so it's suitable in cities where you don't really focus on education. That will be described very simple description of it. But it might also be necessary for cities to have a little farming space, because it's cheaper to have your own farms and than to import the goods to a certain extent. That is to be said. Now we're building a mixed-use area where we have both high-density residential, normal generic commercial, and offices. So it's being built. Yeah, and we are planning to get some sort of public transport there. Trams. We're going to get trams there. I said that I should do it in this episode, but bad news is that I didn't. So the first thing we're doing in the next episode is that we are going to put in trams from that district to maybe along the coast to Mulberry Shopping Centre. We'll see how we do it. Well, not Mulberry Shopping Centre, but Mulberry Park Commercial Estate. Now we'll build a little residential estate, as we have a big demand for residential. So we add it there, quite a lot actually. Make a little connection to the cycle bridge there, or the cycle path bridge, so it goes elevated through the area. Then we added something, I think it was a basketball pitch. Now we're overlooking unique buildings, and where are we going to place a unique building? We are going to place a unique building up here. You see, we want to build the courthouse, so we're building it next to the river there, you know, so the lawyers and other law workers get a good sight, you know, get a good view, you know. Lowering taxes to 4%. So that we can buy the posh mall, because you know you want to have unique buildings that you usually don't have, like the posh mall. Because in my games that I play, otherwise barely have the posh mall, because I go with the principle that I only have the same tax all the time, so I don't adjust the tax. It's always the same. But this leads to that you have very high earnings which you never really spend on improving infrastructure, because you don't really feel that you can spend all that money in relation to the income you have in the game. So it becomes, yeah, so you just get more and more money. So maybe it was smart to reduce the taxes. Here we're doing some traffic improvements. We are starting with trying to get some traffic lights and see if it improves flow. It does improve flow a little bit sometimes, not always. Sometimes it can even make the flow worse if you have traffic lights. So you have to be careful when you're going to use them and when you're not going to use them. Extending zone a little bit, the leisure zone. We need more commercial, and we wanted to build another unique building, which is the casino, which requires I think it was 5,000 spaces of leisure commercial specialization. So we're going to try to solve the traffic situation here. As I said in the previous episode, we want to fix that highway queue, which we had for people going off from the highway to the commercial area, because it basically only had two exits, and it's a little bit too little with the road design that we have at the moment, because we get conflicts in the design. So I have conflicting routes, which causes these jams. We're actually increasing the capacity on that bus route. As we saw, it was like 200 people waiting for the bus. You know, you need to increase it then. Yeah, and right now we find that we need to build a roundabout there. So we're like, are we going to build a roundabout? Are we? Are we? I doubt that. I doubt that. Oh yeah, no we're going. Now we're going. You know what? I'm using gravel roads in order to get a straight roundabout, because you've seen my earlier roundabouts, they've been a bit weird in shape. They haven't been perfectly round, but that roundabout is perfectly round. From the beginning, this roundabout was only 1 lane wide, and you see that it does not really work after a while. And I don't think it was the roundabout itself that causes the jams, but it was the traffic signal afterwards and the junction afterwards on that busy road that you saw that we added traffic lights on. So it was maybe a bit unnecessary, but it's future proof to have a 2-lane roundabout, because then, you know, then everyone, then the cars are not taking the first exit. It doesn't need to be in the outer lane all the time. As you see, it becomes a bit of a jam. You can't really see it yet, but I fixed that later on. Oh, I already fixed that, yeah. It was a bit of a jam. So what we do now is add that little road connection in order to be able to remove those 2 junctions, which basically held up the traffic a bit. So we removed it, and we are also going to remove these 2 commercial buildings, and we're actually adding bridges to reduce the amount of conflicts in between the motor traffic on the road below and pedestrians and cyclists crossing the road at level. So we made a grade separation there, as it was quite important. The road is, if I'm going to guess, the road is at maybe 80% of capacity. Now we see that we need to remove the commercial buildings that was alongside this main road, as we had problems with that cars sort of went into those to have their deliveries on the main road, which held up traffic a bit, and a bit too much, because as we're very close to the maximum capacity. 80% is quite close. 90%, then basically 90% is maybe possible if you have a straight road with like no bus stop or anything like that, no interference. And 100% is possible at that moment only, because as fast as you get 105, you get a queue, and it's not. And then you get a queue on a road that does not have any conflicts, you know. And you often get a queue into the merger, you know. it's not the road itself that is the bottleneck. It's junctions is often the bottleneck, or when you have mergers or things like that. Now we have built a waterfront area, but I will call it a poor people's waterfront, as it's sewage water just outside the window, so I don't think anyone who couldn't live there would live there. Yeah, so we're overlooking that junction and the perfectly round roundabout. Doing a bit of analysis there, not so much analysis, but it's just how much is the traffic, do I need to fix it, or can I wait? And I was like, yeah, I can wait. Adding a little extra sewage outlet and another water pump. We're actually fixing the queues here because we've got quite a queue behind these garbage vehicles, which turned right into these garbage places, or super recycling centres they are called. You can get it on the workshop if you want to. It's a quite cool asset because it's different from the incinerator in the sense that it does not, it does not add up to extra pollution. The incinerators do, and they have higher capacity than the incinerators. Now we're overlooking general traffic, how busy it is, and we find that the roads are quite busy, but there's not really any queues. They're just utilised very well. And we're adding some trees, you know, because you need these greeneries. We're using, I think it's a mod called Plop Tool or something like that, where you basically have 4 different tools. I think you have a fifth one as well. You basically have a straight tool, which places the trees in line like that with the plants. Then you have a curve tool, and you have a free curve tool, and then you have okay, it's something, but it's like an advanced tool as well. So you can do quite cool things using that tool. And we also considered that we have for healthcare, we don't really have good healthcare, as we only have 100 places or 100 beds or whatever. When there's like 500 people needing healthcare. It's a bit like Sweden today, you know. They don't have a lot of healthcare services. So it's like in the newspaper all the time, like we don't have enough places, you know. So you can draw a bit of parallel there with the reality. So we're making a roundabout because we found that we found a weakness in this junction, and we found that in relation to the traffic amounts that is going to go, the traffic volumes that is going to go through that junction, we decided to build a roundabout. This one wasn't as good as the previous one, obviously, as you see, but it works as well. It works even though. But we have had some hold-ups, and it's I don't know really if we can claim it to be that it's that 90-degree turn, or if it is that people are using that crossing sparsely, but they're using the pedestrian crossing just in front of the roundabout, which might hold up traffic a bit as the road is so busy as it is. Yeah, you know, stay tuned for more. We're going to show trams, which will be the first thing in the next episode. We're so sorry for not having it in this episode, and the city is going to grow even more. So thanks for watching, and why not press the subscribe button and the like button. Also check out my Patreon channel, and then you can consider whatever you want to do, you know. Thanks for watching. See ya.